Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative Two-Time Mom, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the library books, the haul that we have for our honeybee unit study. This is only going to span about a week. We're finishing up arthropods, and I wanted to spend a specific week talking about bees because bees are so important to our ecosystem, and I just felt like it was kind of a fun way to wrap everything up because my kids are super familiar with bees. It's probably the insect that they're the most familiar with, and so I thought let's kind of dive into it with that interest in mind and spend a week just looking at bees. So this is just the resources that I have to go with this unit. I'm hoping to do a couple of videos on some of the projects that we do as we go along, but I haven't gotten that, of course, filmed yet, so stay tuned. This book is called How Do Bees Make Honey? It's an Usborne starting point science. I didn't have very high expectations for this book just because of looking at the cover. But there is a lot of good information in here. If you have no other information about the body type of a bee, there's some great information in here, also talking about their eyes, because kids a lot of times don't know the difference between a compound or a simple eye. And just going along, it talks about the body parts, it talks about the specific tongue that they have that helps them eat, how they pollinate things, why their cells are the shape that they are. When you look in a hive, you've got that hexagon shape. What's the difference between wasps and bees, and how do they identify the queen? It brings in some other insects as well because it talks about how social bees are, that they're not the only social insect. So we're talking about termites and ants as well. This was just a really, really great book. I was way beyond impressed with this, much more than I thought I was going to be. This is The Honey Makers by Gail Gibbons, and I love her illustrations. They are, of course, gorgeous, and this is very much so illustrated in a Gail Gibbons style. This is one of those books that you can take as simplistic as you want, but also has great in-depth information. Again, talking about the shape of the bee, the type, the eyes that they have, the function. But you can tell my kids have been in this book. How they, the different life cycles of a bee. Again, this is one that you could probably find pretty easily at your library. You probably wouldn't need to purchase this one because Gail Gibbons books are everywhere. But this is a really great one if you can get your hands on it. This is From Blossom to Honey. It's actually a Reading Rainbow book, which I thought, well, that was kind of cool. We all remember Reading Rainbow from our early years. It's written a little bit simpler. This is a good jumping off point for your kindergartner or first grader, or just good reinforcement. I found that we've been combining all three kids in our unit studies, and then sometimes I'll take these simpler books and I'll go back and read them with my first grader, and it just kind of reinforces the ideas that he's learning. You Wouldn't Want to Live Without Honeybees, and I have to confess, I confessed this to another YouTuber a few days ago. I was not into this series, didn't want to be a part of it, and I've read a few of them and we love them. In fact, I spent my own money and I purchased this one myself. Just some great ideas in here about people being allergic, what makes somebody allergic, how can bees help. And I didn't see this in a lot of other books, but I thought it was a great point to make. We always talk about bee stings. Well, how can bees help? Beyond honey and even beyond pollination, what good are bees to our ecosystem? And I think this is really important because there are a lot of kids out there that don't realize, they just think of the bee sting and don't necessarily think about how bees are a part of keeping our world going. Love, love this book. The Bee Tree by Patricia, I always butcher her name, Polacco. And this is just a sweet story. This is one of those that we included in our morning basket to kick off our morning and just have a fun little study. I like to include books like this where they're not just the scientific facts and ideas, but just to include a story that has a part of what we are learning about. So that was a good one. Show Me the Honey. I love these little Cat in the Hat books where they have the scientific ideas included as well. This is one that we put into our morning basket because it was a quick and easy read with the cat in the hat, but I knew that my older kids would enjoy it as well. Cute one to look for at your library. The Bee Book by Charlotte Milner. This is one that we didn't use a whole lot in our study, only because of course I just had too many resources was the problem. But it has some good diagrams, great labeling. We did use it a little bit for things like I had the kids go back and we labeled parts of the flower and did our own diagrams. This was one that I almost kind of, it would have been easy enough for the kids, but I kind of used as my own background study and then included the ideas in other things that we learned. I love this page of where it goes through kind of like a food chain. So, good book. We just had too many to get through. The Bumblebee Queen. Again, this went into our morning basket because it was a really easy, quick read with the story. You can take it as simple or as deep as you want. You can just read the bold print words for the story or go into the scientific ideas in the smaller print. And really good. I would say this is really good for like kindergarten through probably even 3rd grade. Not so much for my older kiddos, but they like to sit and listen to the story as well. Bumblebees. This is a good little kindergarten 1st grade book that we picked up from our charter school. And this is a great introductory. If you're doing this unit with a smaller group of kids, I would start with this one, just because it gives you the real basics. And I love the pictures in this one. I mean, look at that detail. Isn't that just beautiful? Very simple paperback book. And the last one is called Honey, Honey Lion. Like I said, I like to include books that aren't just the scientific ideas, but also a story including bees. And this coincides really well with the history unit that we're in right now. We're studying Africa. So this is a story from Africa. It's about the badger, and he is out to get some honey. And just the animals that he meets along the way until there is a lion. So this is one of those that I like to put in our morning basket because it's a good story. It's a great way to launch into our day and launch into science from our morning time. I have one other resource that I returned on accident, and that is Magic School Bus in a Beehive. I picked up from our library the it's a 3-episode disc, and on there is In a Beehive. You can also get the book, of course, but it's nice to have the video because it kind of breaks up mom's reading and it gives the kids the information in a new way. Sometimes, I mean, as much as they love to read, it's nice to have a little video once in a while to break it up. So I have that on reserve. I'm going to be using that next week in our bee study as well. So I hope this gives you a great start to launching off and studying bees. I think if you study no other insects, you should definitely spend some time talking about bees, maybe even talking about butterflies in the world of pollinators. And that's why we specifically wanted to spend a week doing that. So I hope this gives you a good jumping off point for starting your unit study. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're studying in your homeschool, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.